we are going to be getting this right underway. Sean, I could not be more excited. This is actually going to be an extremely epic series to start it out. In talking to a lot of the pro gamers and everything out there, Major always seems to be brought up as someone who is a strong player. He's been playing even since the Brood War days. He's been playing StarCraft. And Sean, do you know, did he start playing Brood War right when it came out, or did he kind of join a little bit later along the way?
He joined quite late. I mean, as a matter of fact, Major is not old. I think only 19 or so. I mean, he really rose to prominence in the 2006-2007 era, where he was only 15. Now that I've said that, I think 2006 is 6 years away from 2012.
Don't do math, Sean. It's dangerous.
But he was always a talented player at a very young age. And on this map, Ohana, I'm interested to see how a creative, smart player like him is going to play it out. On Ohana, it's a narrow enough map that you can get away doing things like mech, because you don't have to swing too far left or right to cover bases. But of course, the usual Marine Marauder, Medevac tank play is very effective at denying those left and right expansions that Zerg are going to be taking as the fourth base.
And speaking of our players, down in the bottom right side, he is going to be one of several Koreans who have qualified for this tournament. And I think a lot of people are kind of curious to see exactly what he's got. It is indeed going to be Hyun, and his opponent up on the top left side, the Mexican player, the only player from North or South, I almost said Korea, but it is America, to qualify. It is indeed going to be Major, which I'm like 100% surprised, Sean, that he is playing in this tournament actually named Major. I don't think I've ever seen him use that ID just because he changes it so much.
Well, the StarCraft community kind of imposed it on him. Everyone got together and said, you know what? He's Major. That's who he's become. And you know what? There he is. He's embracing the identity provided originally by him and now by us, the community. And it looks like we're going to be seeing kind of a typical early expand play from Major, but again, it doesn't really reveal yet what his late game composition is going to be.
I do love the scouting with the drone. We've seen a lot of Zerg players, a lot of Protoss players, and even a lot of Terran players lose to that Terran kind of cheese where they proxy several barracks anywhere on the map, really, as long as it's outside of the base. And if we do the vision of the Zerg player, you can see he's looked at almost half the map already. He doesn't want to be taken by surprise, and that is going to delay his expansion spawning pool just a tiny bit. But Sean, what do you think about that, searching around? Is it okay for Zerg to do that?
Well, obviously I think that's important to spot those barracks, but if you actually look at the slivers on the minimap, he hasn't touched either watchtower. He's been very, very aggressive about checking all around them, and just due to the fact that he got an SCV count, he's able to beeline back home. That is always the biggest differentiator. And wow, look at Major, a great spot on the Overlord. I mean, this can put Zerg so far behind mentally if he loses this. I think it will be able to get away. It's going to be close.
Trying to go for his upgraded speed boost. Is he going to get away? He is migrating there. He does say a sad face. And he actually survives with the regeneration. I love the chat right there. And Sean, this tournament has already started off amazingly. Now, I'm quite excited.
To do a little commentary, Z on the keyboard is for the Korean ha noise. So ZZ is equivalent to ha ha ha. It's not that these players are getting very sleepy, which actually is what I thought. I thought it was this sort of asinine drone that these players would do with one another. Well played, Z. Like, oh my gosh, that guy's tilting. No, he's just being a standard mannerly Korean.
I do like Major there. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of it, but he does pull the mule off right before it runs out, because sometimes, depending on which mineral patch you're on, the mule will actually grab one extra mineral and then just drop it forever to be lost. I never understood why the SCVs just don't pick it up, but they're like, nope, that mineral has touched the ground. We can no longer bring that to the command center. We do have a quite early macro hatch at the expansion. What do you think about this, Sean?
You know, I like this quite a lot. To know, on Hyun's point of view, what are the early Terran threats? Hellion, small numbers of Marine, either with stim or combat shield, but not both. Queens can handle essentially everything. The biggest difficulty that Zerg has early on is lack of creep spread. I can't get over to defend the third, especially on this awkward formation on Ohana. So players replace this by getting a very, very early third hatch, and we should likely see Hyun go up to 6, 7, 8 queens. Even if he doesn't, he's going to have an extremely strong setup for an Infestor Zergling mid-game.
Now, Sean, what do you kind of think about late-game TVZ on this map? Do you think it's smart for Major to go for super late-game? Because he himself has added a third base, or at least the third command center, so he himself is seemingly wanting to go to late-game.
Holy crap, does Major want to go for late-game? Look at this, the 2 engineering bays. He's going for double engineering bay before he is doing any damage. If we actually look at the 2 unit-producing buildings there, he's actually just rushing for tanks. So, I mean, does reveal that he is going to be going for a barracks-based play, as he does have the 2 engineering bays out, but literally getting 1 Hellion out for scouting. He's going to follow it up with siege tank play, and he is going pure defense late game. I've actually never seen someone go for this late macro game ever in this matchup.
And he's going to finally throw down those barracks. One gets a little misplaced there because the Marines down it goes. It's going to help wall him in, just kind of adding to the fact that, yeah, he's in it for the long haul. He does have a third base going down here for Hyun. So that's going to be 4 hatcheries versus 3 command centers, and we're only 8 minutes into a game. That deathly Overlord who's been bleeding out this entire time needs to be careful about scouting there. There are 2 patrolling Marines to scout it out. Can those Marines actually see that Overlord? I'm really curious to see. Yep, they can.
There he is, taunting him.
They know about it, and we do have the double designated creepers for lots of creep spread out of these queens here. And this is, I mean, Sean, it's just everyone keeps making more and more workers. I saw 11 drones come out of Hyun here, and we see some production kicking in. But I think this is going to be at least a pretty quick max out for both these players.
I mean, it's brilliant response there by Hyun. Major having a very clever build. Hyun saying, wait a minute, we're at 7:30, we're at 8 minutes. I've seen no Marines, no Hellions. He must be going for some sort of mega macro play. The fact that he didn't see anything signifies that Terran is going for mega late game. And see, that's very uncommon in this matchup to get an Overseer that early, but when you're as unsure as Hyun is, it's a really smart move.
And yeah, he does have the Overseer on the way, and that means he has new Breath of Life. That Damage Overlord now has full HP, and it does look like still macro mode, and we do have the Spire going to be dropping down, so that's when Hyun's going to start saving up a bunch of gas. And Sean, do you think he's going to make a big swell of Mutalisks, or is it going to be just a couple for harassment?
You know, I'm a little surprised to see Hyun doing this on this map. It's so common to go for the Infestor. Again, it's not a very wide map, so it's easy to get the Infestors from left and right. But I actually anticipate that Hyun will be doing the smarter, more modern Mutalisk transition, where you only get 16 to 24 Mutalisks ever in the game, and then you end up teching fairly quickly up to the Hive tech. Though I would love to see like a huge number of Banelings. He certainly set himself up economically. God, how many drones does he have? 82 by 10 minutes. Oh my God! And look at 2-2 starting for Major. He's gonna have 3-3 almost at 15 minutes.
And the Overlord just now pooping creep there. There was a Reddit post recently, Sean. It takes 60 in-game seconds to clear out the creep if it is fully been able to poop there on your expansion. So the fact that he was able to take that out means he can get his expansion 60 seconds earlier, because he was able to deny that delay there. And we do have upgrades for Mutalisk. We do have Baneling speed on the way for Hyun right now. So is it looking like he's basically going to stick with Zergling, Baneling, Mutalisk here?
I'm actually kind of surprised to see no Mutalisks have been made yet. He's getting the +1 flyer attacks. He might skip them. Actually, taking a journey over to Major's main, we see 8 barracks already done, 1 factory up. I mean, you can always tell when a player's going for heavy macro mode because the starport doesn't have a reactor on it, and Major is still quite low on gas. Only now is the reactor going down. The only way that you can get to a huge late game play and get all your upgrades that early is by sacrificing the gas on the medevacs.
This Marine is about to be completely outnumbered. 800 Zerglings to kill off that 1 Marine, but he does save the Overlord. I'm kind of curious on the units lost tab. This is quite hilarious for a 12-minute game, only to see a couple hundred resources lost for both these players.
And most of it's from canceling buildings that are in progress.
And we do have Major walling in his 3rd base a little bit there with those depots, and right now it looks like Hyun may be gearing up for some sort of aggression, but he doesn't have that many Mutalisks yet. He is at 11.
Wow, 11 Mutalisks? I mean, essentially what Hyun's saying is, I am just going to convince you that I'm going Mutalisk. I'm going to get enough Mutalisk to be compelling, and then I'm instantly going to go Hive, as we do see that Infestation Pit finishing up along with the 4th base. I mean, this is such an accelerated pace in a game. Broodlords and Ultralisks will no doubt be in production before 17 minutes. Very uncommon to see that when there's a Mutalisk opening.
And we do see Combat Shields just now being researched.
What? Oh my God, he delayed Combat Shield till now. Holy crap, he didn't even ever want to attack Mike.
Yeah, Yeah, just getting that now, and yeah, the 1-1 is done for Zerg. 2-2 nearly completed here as well. A couple Marines got to be moving out here. It's okay if you lose his Marines here and there. They are unfortunately, though, showing off that, hey, we do not have combat shields. So that's going to make Hyun feel even more confident as he has taken a 4th base now. His worker count sitting up at 78, although Major's sitting at 70 SCVs. Not something you see very often. He is making 12 Marines at a time, 2 medevacs, and 1 siege tank at a time here. So a pretty normal unit composition, but a very unorthodox heavy macro mode way to get there. You can see a 14-minute max for Zerg and almost a 14-minute max for Major.
This is the big moment. It's going to be all Banelings against a largely Marine army. Looks like a couple of units are poaching out forward, and the Marines will be darting up to attack them. Terran's going to have one small attack that involves largely Marines coming up right now.
All right, need to be careful here, though. At the unit positioning, those Marines are going to get completely surrounded. There are a lot on the high ground. The Metalists do overextend just a little bit, but they are able to take out those tanks, and it looks like he may just get overwhelmed here, but the supplies are relatively even, so no, it is not going to actually happen there, as he is forced to retreat. And I'm kind of curious overall on units lost. It looks like that did favor Major, but did Hyun do what he needed to do here?
You know, I think he did. There's really 2 phases to a macro Terran player's attack. His first one is low on tanks. You'll notice Major has only just now gotten 2 tanks in production. And as a result, all Major really has is Marines and a few tanks. Now that he's able to use those tanks 2 at a time, Hyun's bought himself a good chunk of time while you see those infestors popping out. But I mean, what's the hive tech for Hyun going to be?
We are waiting to see right now just the upgrades. He does kind of spread those Marines to the left side. A little bit of a risk there as they are kind of stuck out in the open. It does look like they will be able to commit and at least do quite a bit of damage. Nice splitting. Will push it back for now, and for the first time, it looks like Major will pull ahead in the supply. Is starting to work on Thors just a little bit. Still producing 12 Marines at a time, so that's going to be non-stop trickling of units. And also, since he got his command center so early, he is able to drop those mules consistently. Is now making his 4th command center here. So the creep spread, though, is out of control. It's going to take him a long, long time to clean this creep up.
Look at how much creep is on the map. Major is actually now forced to siege up at his own base to try to pick these off. And we see Hyun just really having complete clear vision of where his opponent's at. Getting the Ultra Tech and the Broodlord Tech at the same time. Hyun will likely be favoring Broodlords first. This will allow him to make a shove against Terran. But as those units begin dying, he's going to replenish them with Lings and Ultras. The only way Major can force his opponent away from going Broodlords is to move out and attack right now, but he's going to have to extend onto the creep.
Major is maxed out, but you got to remember, checking his vision, he hasn't seen anything in the Zerg base since the Zerg expanded initially. He doesn't know exactly what tech's on the way. He does know there's a lot of upgrades, but does he know how crazy out of control his macro is? Well, he's going to find out as soon as the Ultralisk Cavern and the Broodlord tech finishes. We do have the Adrenal Glands upgrade on the way as well. So he's going to have every tech right there, and a nice fungal. Got to be trapping those Marines. Keep in mind, though, he's got a lot of money to burn here, as he does have a lot of minerals. Very heavy on gas as well.
There's a little bit of an attempt to drop on the right side. The Hyun just picked off, no problem, and now Major's deciding he wants to shove to the left. This is an uncomfortable spot as Terran. You feel forced to do this because your opponent has Hive up already.
Down goes the Queen, but he's going to have to kill about 50 drones to actually be able to pull ahead here, as there's this crazy macro. Fungals on the medevacs, and the Mutalists will be able to pick those off. Those medevacs are invaluable. You'll see a lot of Terran players try and max them up. It does look like Hyun's just got to go for it and breaks this with relative ease. That is going to almost identically tie the unit's lost tab there, and the Zergling's going to push forward. You have to make sure to get good angles to engage those favorably here. But at this point, I don't know how Major's going to be able to secure a 4th, and just going pure Marine, now going to be mixing in some Marauders. What do you think about the Ultras here?
You know, again, this is one of the goals of Major's attack. I'm going to try to force you to make Ultralisks instead of Broodlords. Broodlords tend to be a little bit more difficult for Terran to deal with, although Ultras, you know, are really good. And if you just look at the mini-map and just see that creep spread, this is the result of Major being so passive. Sure, if you go for a really fast 3-3 and a 200-200 army, you're going to get maxed earlier, you're going to be safer, you're going to be in a more predictable position, but every single time, you can't deal with the creep spread. Those early Hellion plays that people have been doing for, well, I guess I can say years now, because the second birthday of StarCraft 2 just happened. Those Hellions stop the creep spread, but now look at Major. He's dropping on the right, he's hitting on the left, but he's under creep everywhere.
Well, right now, it looks like he will be able to take out one of the hatcheries and killed off a lot of the drones at another one of the bases. Is this the momentum he needs right here? Taking a look at the units tab, it's 71 drones to 73 SCVs, so they're basically equal there. But he was able to kill off some, but is he going to lose his army in midfield? It is trying to fully retreat here. Doesn't even have enough units here for defense. I don't know, that's a lot of Ultralists. Overall, there's 8 Ultras on the field. The Thor immediately falling. Bungles go down on the Marines, and the Ultras are hungry hippos, but there's still more units back here for defense. Does he have enough to hang on? The Mutalisk are still standing. The Thor needs to try and focus down the Ultras, but I don't know here, Sean. This is a lot of stuff, and surely more to follow.
And Hyun with 74 Lings rallied, a perfect response. Ordinarily, the Ling Ultra Force tends to be slightly more defensive than you would, generally expect, because Ultras are big badasses, but I mean, Hyun, with the creep spread that far out, I mean, you have the option now. Do I want to attack? Do I not want to? No matter where I go, there's creep, so I'm feeling good. And now the burrowed banelings. Oh, that's just so overkill.
The Marines there not going to get taken out by those. Hyun is constantly selecting those banelings, seeing if there's anything to detonate on top of. But right now, I mean, there's so much going on that a couple of banelings probably won't make a huge difference. He does have big fungal on the medevacs, and the damage alone will kill off one of them, but another fungal could clean those out. He's got to keep the medevacs alive. That's a unit that you really have to retain as this game progresses, because eventually you're going to want to get out Vikings for the Broodlords here, and I feel like this is just a never-ending creep cleanup, because he hasn't been able to land at a 4th base in forever, and no matter how many creep tubers he kills, seems like there's just always more around the corner.
I mean, Hyun is just in complete control of this game. Look at that one poor command center now under fire from the Mutalisk on the right side. The Ultra, the Ling Ultra Infestor army parks itself right underneath it, just saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't want to expand here. Major takes the opportunity to strike the left base.
Can he take it out once again? This would be nice for him, but still, the Zerg player banking a lot of money. He does have 6 Broodlords on the way. Down go the Marauders, too, and they aren't able to do any damage to the Ultras. Keep in mind, the basic reason why you get those Marauders out is to deal with Ultralists here, but this is a Zerg player in full macro mode. It's going to be tough for him to deny it. He did attempt to do a drop with a medevac that was extremely low on HP, but seems like he decided to retreat there. And unfortunately for Major, he never created a Raven here. This is something that you'd see a lot of Terran players kind of, I wouldn't say regret, but they definitely don't do it, where they get a Raven out to help with this creep spread, so forced to use scan after scan, and right now he could definitely use some mules. However, he's running out of money here, and I think he's going to get maxed out, but that's at 50 Banelings on the way.
50 Banelings.